I think everyone's back, so we shall continue. Okay, so next up we have Paddy, who is going to share with us some poetry and prose, and I'll let Pradeep introduce himself, actually.
I had written something.
I know, but I can read it. Pradeep, I think he said, Pradeep is 51, he's black and grey.
Hair colour.
I didn't know what you meant by that.
That's where I am, and this is the time of the day.
Okay, so he's at moniack, and
He's doing the
he's here.
And it's evening.
He's at moniack more this evening.
Yes.
So lucky you.
I'll tell you later. Last line, yes. Yeah. I can manage that. Right. This is a piece of prose that I began before the one I'm trying to finish, and might look at once if and when I finish the other one. No, when I finish the other one.
Certainty.
Yes. Some people never change. My Aunt Gita is a loud and gawky woman of 50 today, and she was, I'm told, exactly the same when my grandparents decided to give her away in marriage 30 years ago. Do you think she's ready for it? Was a second thought that had escaped my mother's lips when she received news of her sister's imminent wedding. We must leave at once was the first. Had I been around at the time, I reckon I would have tried to dissuade her. After all, travelling a good 1,200 kilometres by rail is not what most doctors recommend to a woman in an advanced state of pregnancy. Unfortunately, I was not in a position to offer my opinion. I was a child that she was carrying. My father, as was his style, expressed nothing by way of dissent. He reassured himself of his manliness every year by springing a new child on my mother. I was the sixth in as many years of marriage, and the first boy. He promptly celebrated with 5 more, all girls, and saw little meaning in denying her occasional fancies just to prove that he was in charge. My mother, on her part, at all times played the role of obedient wife to near perfection, only coming to life when she considered her duty came into the picture, like attending her sister's wedding. A strange determination then came over her, and she bravely resolved to take the long journey with 5 daughters in tow, without my father, whose employers would not grant him leave at short notice. And despite the fact that only days earlier, a passenger train had gone tumbling off a bridge into a muddy river, pulling all 24 carriages down and leaving hundreds dead, the need to do her duty obliterated any fears she might normally have had. And so it was that I came into the world. The journey from Delhi to Kerala takes less than 48 hours on today's express trains. 30 years ago, running on coal and steam, it took a good 4 days, winding down the country's conical face to a disappointed chin. The first day passed without much incident. Minding 5 small children is no trifling matter, least of all for a pregnant woman. But my mother performed well, and by 10 in the evening all the little girls had supped and gone to bed. With a great sense of relief, she too lay down on the hard wooden bunk, when she felt a great sword of pain unsheathe itself in her abdomen. By daylight, we were a party of 7. Had there been a doctor or a nurse or a midwife on board the train, my mother's delivery might have been a little less painful, since there was no one even remotely connected with the medical profession, not even a dispensing chemist or quack. My mother suffered exquisite agony and announced it with ear-shattering howls of pain that sent my sisters into a chorus of wailing and awoke all the passengers in the carriage. Among those who sprang awake was a young journalist returning after an unsuccessful attempt to interview some bandits in the area. They had simply tied him up, removed his wallet, wristwatch and gold ring and ridden off into the rubbings. Sensing a scoop and a chance to redeem himself, he pushed his way through the crowd that had instantly formed to reach the scene of the action, praying it would be a bandit raid or at least a murder or a rape. On discovering a childbirth in progress, he was crestfallen. However, he still faithfully filed in his story the next day in the small-town newspaper that he worked for as chief reporter. A senior railway ministry official who happened to be visiting his in-laws in the same town, browsing through the newspapers to escape his mother-in-law's incessant chatter, saw the article. At once excited, he leapt to his feet and ran out into the street like some latter-day Archimedes, and to the nearest telegraph office. The Federal Minister for Railways immediately grasped the significance of the event. The image of the rail ministry that lay drowned in the filthy river could now be salvaged. After death, here was birth and life. He saw no reason to hesitate. The last guests had departed when the car appeared in a great cloud of red dust. My grandfather, a coarse peasant of frugal ways and colourful turn of phrase, wondered aloud whether someone was returning for more, couched in the choicest expletives. When the car disgorged two totally unfamiliar coughing strangers, his consternation grew to rage. But what they had to say made his anger evaporate. They were emissaries of the railway minister and had come to personally inform my mother that the honourable minister in his generosity had decided to give the infant, me that is, a free first-class railway pass to be used indefinitely, anywhere, any number of times, as a mark of appreciation for having shown to the world that trains were not merely homes on wheels, they were mobile maternity wards. The minister had chosen a day of the first week of the following month on which to present the pass to me in person, etc., etc.
And does it still work?
Sorry?
First class
The
ticket.
first class ticket, does it still
Oh,
work?
it does. It plays
Wow.
an important part in his life. As time goes on. Okay. Now, for a little.
Is that a true story?
No.
It sounds.
Well, if you like, yeah.
Put a line to it.
Sounds
Too late now.
isn't it?
Yes.
It is true. It's
We believed it anyway.
Yeah, it is true.
No, it's encouraging.
Isn't it? Yeah. Sounds like you're telling the truth.
Metaphor. I heard the knock, opened the door, and into the room strode Metaphor. You again, I said, almost perfunctorily. She shot me a glance, a grin full of glee. We are inseparable, my dear friend. Why think otherwise? Why pretend? When you know full well, when you see that you're really nothing without me. All these thoughts you seek to tame, all these notions you give a name, how would you do it without my touch? How would you call it such and such? I am the vehicle that carries your thoughts. I am the priest that marries your thoughts. I am the midwife, the wet nurse, the nanny. I am the source of all thoughts uncanny. Yes, you are, you are, you are. I know you well, we've travelled far. We've had good times, shared many laughs, pruned and praised our own paragraphs, sculpted phrases, polished words, watched them take wing like birds, and known all along that all I did was put on incredulity a very tight lid, and allowed myself to believe that comprehension was achieved by speaking of one in terms of another, by calling every passing goose mother. You allow the artifice, you create the illusion, give a semblance of sense to confusion, and then gleefully preen and joyfully prance, knowing there is no choice, no chance. How I loathe you, abhor you, how I hate to grovel before you. But that is what I do, is it not? What other choice have I got? This need to express I did not make, this decision to express I did not take. I'm a conduit, a vessel of sorts, that creates new life and some aborts. Without any understanding at all of the nature of the insistent call, I respond to each time without fail, and travel down scarcely trodden trails. I know metaphor, yes, I know. Every morsel of knowledge I show is not of any real consequence, and only confirms my ignorance. But at least I can see what you mean to me, and within our little private sphere, express affection for my fears. One more and we're off. It's very brief. It's called Scriptural Photograph. The slanting light of afternoon, pouring through the thronging trees, deflected delicately by branch and bough, leaf and fruit. What choice have I but to follow suit? Home, a state of mind, all that is and is yet to come, all that's left behind. Thank you very much.
You have to stay where you are because I have been asked, I have nothing to do with it except I've been asked, that as you are a resident Santa Claus,
Yes.
and photographer,
Yes.
and glorious voice, on behalf of your compatriots in this group, please would
Well,
you
this is lovely. I
accept
like it.
this?
Oh, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you so
Don't
much.
drop it.
Oh, I like Larkin, yes.
I
Very
do
much.
hope you'll enjoy it.
It's bits and bits. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Autograph on these. Sorry. Thank you very much.
I don't know about everyone else, but I am having a great time. I think it's so lovely to get.
Well, we all are.
It's the jokes. As well as the poetry.
Where? I don't have a joke, but I know someone who suspense. So making the leap from finance to fiction. Next up we have Esther.
Right, I have two jokes. One of them didn't make the cut, so I'm going to share the other one with you. And either you'll think my joke is rubbish, but my poetry will hopefully look better, or you'll be so well disposed to me after the joke that you'll think kind of my poetry too. So, win-win situation. What do you call a cat that just swallowed a duck?
A coat.
A duck-filled fattypuss. It's brilliant! It's a joke that just keeps on giving.
What do you call a fish with no eyes?
No, I just...
A fish. A what? What do you call a fish with no eyes? Fish. Oh, that's funny.
Right, so I'm going to go through this. I'm going to read poems that I've written while I've been here, which is either brave or stupid, I'm not quite sure which. And then, my life at the moment either looks brave or stupid, and I'm not quite sure which either. Hopefully, yeah. The first is called Car Crash. Strangled metal curled around me, heat and ash contort my breath. You are the last at last to drown me, curdled love invites my death. In the instant just before you loomed into my future view, I was hypnotised by safety. Seconds later, fear breaks through. I stumble out into the sunlight, blinking smoke out of my eyes. I am bleeding, burned and weary, wary of your reckless lies. I look back upon the wreckage, tangled dreams and helpless love. Is there anything to salvage from this mass of broken love? And for me, who do I turn to, scarred and bruised by your misuse? Will you ever come to hold me, cradled me against life's woes? Alas, I know you cannot do it, will not halt to meet my foes. Yet I am not without some power to absorb your careless blows. Standing tall, alone in nature, held by a caressing breeze, closing eyes to hold the moment. Safety now, something to seize.